All right, all right. I'm back. Okay. I had some technical difficulties. Can can everybody hear me? So I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. If you can hear me, type in the chat and let me know they can hear me. All right. I think I lost people. I had two accounts set up at the same time, so I was getting feedback. So I had to delete one of the accounts. Okay. All right. All right. So what I want to talk about was the reason really so important for us to start thinking for ourselves. Um, it's it's critical that we do this for the it's no different than if you were playing chess. And when you play chess, the key to winning a chess game is to get in front of your opponents. So this is why ADOS is trying different techniques to get in front of our opponents in this fight for reparation. Now, I want to start off by introducing I'm part of Triangle ADOS. We got Twin City ADOS and also Rocky Mount ADOS. Um, so we got a different chapters. We also all three of our chapters also is part of the Twin City ADOS. Um, we also part of ADOS HQ. So this is just a little feedback on who we are and what we're trying to do. So I guess I wait for some more people to drop in. I see we got me and Johnny in here. I can't tell if anybody else in here because I know I had to restart. Um, so shoot, we are oh, am I breaking up? Is it freezing? Let me see here. Hold on. Trying to mm, that's crazy. Okay. Um, shoot. So okay. So I guess we if we find I think I'm fine now on my streaming. Uh, so I start back from the beginning. Um we I'm with Triangle ADOS. We also have a Twin City ADOS and a Rocky Mount ADOS. Um what our goal is we also a part of ADOS HQ. So we definitely stand in solidarity with Tone and Yvette. My name is William Dickens. This is my first YouTube trying to do live. So, hey, we trying to work it out. It'll get better as we go. So I've been practicing, but I try to do I try to put two in one and got some feedback. Um, Let me see this. I'm gonna see. I don't see. I want Johnny. I must got a new stream dinner, so I don't guess people got this one. I think when I went out and came back in, people might not got the new stream. Mm, I don't. How do I get back to my old one? Or can I get back to my? Let me see. Let me see. Shit. Okay. So I guess we got some people in. I'm going I'm gonna go ahead. It's so y'all gonna have to work with me. Um, like I said, we'll get it better. So let me basically what I wanted to talk about was the topic was is that the reason it's so critical for us to get in front of our opponent, and of course our opponent is the government that's imposing the being able to impose the white supremacy ways upon us. So I just want to cap some of what ADOS did to try to change this narrative and get swinging our way. Most of us did down ballot, some did Green Party, but the reason we did these things, even pushback from people, was because what we were basically going to do was is to get the attention of the Democratic Party to get things that we need for our community. With that being said, I would understand that down ballot, but ultimately they need your vote. Without your vote, they can't take the White House. So the key of that is to get the numbers up. So if we get our numbers up, we can do it again. We can push the narrative. We can keep hammering these people to get them to see it and see things in our way. It's critical we do it. Another thing we did, we a lot of us been working on educating people on how foreign politics it's an exchange. It ain't just you don't just go cast your vote for nothing in return. We got to stop doing this. We just giving away a vote. We just can't go vote Democrat. We got to get serious about this, and we got to get serious about voting and the way voting works. It's it's a moment that is critical. We got the data shows so many of us are below the another thing I forget. Subscribe and hit the like button. That'll help us get our views up and all. So we want to get the like and button. The subscribe button. So I got a call in line. So if people want to call in or you want to ask questions in the chat, you can. If you want to know how you can become a part of the Triangle ADOS, put it in the chat and we'll let you know how. So one of the key factors I always say to people, we must become chess players and stop being chess pieces. With that being said, this is the moment we must stand. It's a lot going on. Joe Biden is in office and he doing exactly what y'all figured he would do. He catering to immigrants. doing whatever he can do to straddle that hour. So if people are living in this moment and seeing this moment, and you ain't thinking that it's time to do something different, I don't understand that you don't understand that you are at the point of insanity. If you think you keep moving and operating like we operating. Um, um, if anybody would like to call in, you can call in at 351 6356. We can take calls to see what's on other people's mind, see what anybody else would like to say. We'll open up the call line and take some calls in. See what anybody would like to join in on.
You are the only participant in the conference.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just calling in. Yeah, of course you know who I am.
Oh yeah, I know he is.
So this
I ain't catch your voice at first.
yeah, this is Tasha
Yeah.
associated with Triangle ADOS.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm just calling to provide some information, and I'm glad that that you've given us the title of your topic up front, how we must think for ourselves the ADOS way. And I know that you've mentioned down ballot. So one of the things that I do want to bring up is the case with the Princeton study, where they show that bottom 80% of wage earners are least reflected in terms of the representation within Congress, or at least in terms of the measures that are desired. And I think, that's something that's important, especially now in the age of ADOS, as well as what's going on with the minimum wage. If anyone has been paying attention, we've seen that 8 Democratic senators have actually voted against having the minimum wage to be associated within the COVID-19 package, even though 67% of Americans are for a $15 minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at ADOS and you take in consideration, and I may be off a little bit, the median wealth for an average ADOS family is about, 17,150 compared to a white family that has 10 times that amount of wealth.
Yeah.
So when you look at it in terms of representation versus wealth, it's no wonder why, ADOS is not even representative, and why, even despite the fact that we have a black caucus, they're not even representative of our interests, and yet we're still, we have a disproportionate share of all these issues that are related to wealth. So when we talk about down ballot, the thing that people have to ask themselves, well, if the representation is proportional to the amount of wealth that a person has, in terms of policies and lobbyists developing legislations to money interests, and on an individual basis, even family basis, we don't have a lot of wealth. Well, what do you have to influence Congress? And that's where your vote comes in as an exchange. So, we need to make people understand that, how wealth is related to how legislation is done. And also, the challenges that, potential candidates have been running because, even though we have people associated with the CDCs and representatives that have run unopposed, you have to understand that these people, they have accumulated a treasure chest from funders. And a lot of segments of our population, particularly those who are baby boomers and solid generation, they consume a lot of their information from television, and that's where a lot of the money goes to in terms of advertising, high expenses, and so they have the advantage against anybody who may decide to run. And that's how down ballot comes in as an effective strategy, because when a lot of people decide, well, we're not going to vote for this incumbent no matter what, and if that incumbent, they don't get in some ways you have leveled the field, maybe not totally, because you're always going to have ties to the DNC and the Democratic Party or any other political party at large, but at least you've leveled it to a certain extent to where an incumbent is essentially out of the race, and where money is not, may still be an aspect, but it's not that high of an influence, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I have to say.
Yeah. Well, and I think you right about that. It's um you got people like George Reed, NBC, and and what you're saying is truthful. If we can get the majority of our group to realize this, that we get the Democrats in office. So if we are the ones that get them in office, we can also be the ones that keep them out of office. We just need to come up with a strategy, as what we've been doing with ADOS, and get a larger group of people to realize it. 'Cause it will work, because then it forces them to have to deal with you and have to get your issues to attain your vote. So Tasha is exactly right what we're saying. So um, that's a definitely good one. And right now, the biggest threat that's posed to us, that and a lot of people even talking about it, is this 11 million undocumented that Joe Biden allowed in the country. So understand, if we got 7 million black males that's unemployed, not working, and he bringing in, doing deals with the Mexican president on bringing in 11 million. He basically telling you straight up, he replacing you. With if we ain't got jobs, you got a workforce that you ain't even working, and then you finna bring in a whole new group. This work, the group that's here that you're not gonna work, you basically incarcerate this group. They're gonna be homeless. We already make up 51% of the homeless as families. So that number
Right.
is only gonna get worse. And so we we definitely is critical. Immigration is definitely a dagger to the ADOS community as a whole, and we definitely need to see it because it ain't if we don't start thinking in front of these moves, if we don't start understanding that Joe Biden is dog whistling to corporations that I'm bringing you in and you'll be able to lay off these ADOS people. We'll lock them up in the street because they commit crimes, and then they'll be in prison. If we don't kill them, we'll put them in prison. This is what we look down the barrel at. If so, it's crunch time to start thinking in front of the move, and it's happening everywhere for us in sports.
Right.
You know, Tosh. Tasha, was you about to say something?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, I thought you was about to say something.
No, no,
Oh,
I'm on my keyboard.
yeah. Um, so this moment is critical. Um, they passed the bill, but they talk like it's gonna be millions of people that can't get some of the stimulus money now, and you know that's gonna hurt again. So it's a lot coming at us, and it's definitely time for us to realize that we got to fight for our group. And the reason we use the term ADOS because ADOS ties us to this land. When I know people want to push back when you start calling them slaves, but slavery is part of our culture, like it or not. It's part of our culture. It's part. You tie people to the land, and we tied to this American land. This is what we tied to. So slavery
Right.
is part of our culture. I mean, I know a lot of us like for people to stroke our ego with some magnificent, magical words, but it's time to get rid of the magical way of thinking and start seeing the truth. Because once you see the truth, then you can move the line. You can see the problem, and you can understand what needs to be done to fix this problem. And a lot of times it ain't gonna be nice conversations. I watched a video the other day, um, and one of the Johnny had sent it to me with Charlemagne on Bill Maher's show. On this show, he brought up reparations. He brought up reparations, but didn't know how to defend the conversation. When you're in a room, understand that most of these white men and women you get around, they ain't. It's very few of them any different than their granddaddy and grandmas was. I don't care what we want to tell ourselves, just because they talk a lot better, they dress and clean up a lot better. Their mentality is the same as it was before. Because the conversation you got to have with them when you get reparations, you get the same thing you get when it was time for that cotton to be picked. He was picking it with no money being made. When you start talking about reparations, what they always locked us out of was financial upward mobility. So when you start talking to these people about that financial upward mobility, you find the will come again. They start saying, "Oh, I don't mean to be no cash payment. Oh, we need to do education," but the data already show education don't because
Right.
we got people that go to college, and all the data show that hey, ADOS person with a master's degree, and he still might make $150,000. Graduate with a master's degree, he ends up making over $455,000. So education ain't gonna fix it. So y'all know what we must have is a redistribution of wealth, and because we was locked out of that. That's why everything we fight for, every conversation we be in, got to be around wealth, financial stability to be made whole in this country. It ain't no other conversation to have. Any other conversation that's being had is being had because you could have that conversation with somebody give you an agreement, and you paint a picture that it is something else can be done. Because if anything else worked, we wouldn't be right here at the bottom still. We would by now have moved up the chart, but we haven't. So all the data holds the truth. So what our goal is with Triangle ADOS, with our YouTube channel here is is to try to re-educate the mind to seeing this thing through wealth and finances, and say, listen, this is the conversation, and this is where white supremacy, the racism still weighs in at. So once this conversation comes up, you get a lot of looking stupid, saying, "Oh, it ain't feasible, or it's gonna hurt the country," but yet the same people that's telling you the wealth you need gonna hurt the country, they themselves, the white supremacy in the country themselves, got $104 trillion. They weren't about hurting the country when they have it. So we got to be the same way. We got to. This country got plenty of wealth. We should be not just equality. We need to be elevated, as Yvette would say a lot of times. So the fight is to be elevated. And if somehow you don't feel like you're supposed to be elevated, yourself on that, because your people built this economy. Your people, America would not have an economy. So that's one of the things we got to, what we hoping and working to do with our channel, with here in North Carolina, is to spread the understanding on what you're owed. I'm reading something from the chat here. CTG has to take the time to learn how to defend the conversation around reparation if he's going to be the person in the room. That's right. And that the chat is exactly right. If Charlemagne the God want to be the have that conversation around reparation, he got to know how to defend that conversation. And sometimes I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking that Bill Murray even put him up to it just to make him look good, just to give him a little push to make himself look good, like he wanted to defend it, but not really defend it, because he basically, after he got the pushback, he basically asked two white men, "What do you think we should do? What do you think should be our payment?" It's like asking the master with the whip, how many more licks you gonna? So we don't. That ain't critical thinking. First of all, do the country tell white people when they inherited all this wealth from their parents, their grandma, their granddaddy, mom and dad? Do they tell them when they get that inheritance? Do they tell them, okay, what we're gonna do is this? When you get your inheritance, you gotta go to school. You gotta put something here. Do they tell them how to spend it, or do they spend it exactly like they want to spend it? So, how our debt need to be paid? No, it's a debt owed to us. We'll tell you how you want it. We'll tell you what's got to be done, and it ain't never one check. For Charlemagne the God that don't understand it, it ain't no one check. It didn't take 1 year for to put us in this situation. It took 400 years. So as the saying has always been said, it's easier to the damage to somebody, but it takes longer to heal the wound. So we ain't talking about no one check. So anytime you hear somebody talking about a one check, no, we talking about more than one check. We talking about multiple generations, because multiple generations have been affected by this oppression in this country, and we must get that. But we also talking about being built, ADOS people being built into the structure of this country, meaning we want to own dealers, not just sell cars. We want to build cars, bring those cars with our own titles on them, because then you built into the country that you built. You built the economy. You should be built into the infrastructure. If people don't understand that, you don't understand work. We should be also owning companies that they call, quote, say, too big to fail. Yet we at the very bottom, and all of us, 90% of us, is failing every day. Failing so bad to where they start to use us as tokens to sell us some type of black inspiration that we doing good. So that's the main thing why we got to start to think for ourselves and to see truth over inspiration or magic. And if we do this, We will change the narrative. We will do the impossible. But the first step to this impossible is overcoming our own the mental way we see ourselves, the way we see the country, what we have made normal within the country. It's a lot of things made normal. Like, it's normal for us to see white with so much wealth, to where it's so normal we don't even say it ain't. Hey, they just always had it. We normalize seeing us with nothing. Now that we made it normalize, how you gonna get something else out of it if you don't normalize having nothing? So
Right.
that's why I think so many of us feel fine with them not paying, or them not doing it, or not being a part of the fight to change the narrative. And if you somebody out there tonight that feel like it's normal not to be part of this fight, sit and look in the mirror. Think about your granddaddy, what he went through, your great granddaddy, what he endured, or grandmother endured. And what you doing today to make it right for them, while you sit and tell you a lot by black. There's no way I could have been a slave then. I beg the difference. I think you would have been an obedient slave. I know you would, because you're being obedient now. So don't tell me what you would have been. I'm watching you now. I know you would have been obedient. Now your great granddaddy might not have been obedient. So the game is from a physical slavery to a mental slavery. And understand that this mental slavery is way more crucial than the physical, because the physical you actually felt and knew what you was up against. This mental slavery is different, because they can paint a picture. They can make you feel successful. You can get a home. You can look at other blacks and say you doing better. When that happens, you start to say it's nothing wrong. It can't be. It's them. I'm read something else from the chat. Somebody say Jay-Z, individual success does nothing for the collective uplift. And that is very true. It does nothing for the collective. Individual do for self-realism, not work for group uplift. We don't even understand that it's been failed. That's another thing that I find strange with our group, that we don't even understand what and if we understood that it failed, we would know we can't move this way no more. We don't even do that. We keep doing it. We keep seeking out individuals that saying, "Oh, he's doing it, so I can do it." Well, if you don't sit down and do the data on some of these deals that you say are doing it's really simple. Don't ever convince yourself that somebody's selling something because they tired of it. It's a headache. I want to cut my ties. That ain't even true. If you making money, nobody stops making money. Because if you making billions of dollars, why would I shit or sell a company that's making billions of dollars? It right then is not even logical. Because guess what? I got people that I pay to take care of that headache for me. I don't do nothing but sit back and look at them numbers. And I ain't gonna never get tired of doing that. You see? So when we tell ourselves that people are selling things because they just, they don't want to deal with it no more, stop it. They selling it because they tight, strapped for money. No different if you sold something today that you had tomorrow. It would be because you strapped for some money. I need the money more than I need this. That's what the truth is. I'm gonna read something else from the chat. What about the pushback from our people when they say we don't need reparation because all we doing to do is buy Jordans? I say it again. I would say those people, and this one from I would say that those people, first of all, do you go around telling white people that inherited that wealth that slavery built? Understand, slavery built all the wealth white people have. Understand, when you look at today white people, they are the beneficiaries. They come from the beneficiaries of slavery I don't think we understand what we see in our face. Whites that's living today come from the beneficiaries of slave owners. Now, our group, ADOS group, we come from the non-beneficiaries, we come from the slaves. Now, when they get that inheritance passed down to anybody, tell them, hey, you can't go buy cowboy boots that cost $800, snake skin. No, do that. This is what you got to do with your inheritance. Don't nobody tell them what to do with their money. They do exactly what they want to do with it. What I was saying is, we make our own brand of shoes. You know, we create our own brand of shoe from the beginning of the right out down to the showroom floor, sending them all. If we can do that, I don't know about my people buying no $200 pair of shoes. Go guess who it comes back to? Our group. And it's all about group uplift. It control the production of the shoe right down to it being in the mall, and it stays within our group. Hey, it's still in our group. The beauty of it still being in our group, we can still use the money to do other things with. It's nothing wrong with buying something that you want to buy if you understand that it has a group together when you buy. The thing now, when people buy Jordan, it goes right back in the white capital pockets. So that's the biggest downside to it, because understand, when you go purchase a house, it goes right back in the white capital pockets, because we don't control the land, we don't control the market and house buying. So that's why ADOS is so important. That's why our group uplift is so important. Because when we use the term group uplift, understand, you as one individual cannot be in all this. That's why you can't fight this battle by yourself. That's one of the major things we got to get our people to understand. And if you got to do for suffering in front of you, saying, well, I ain't got to worry about that, I'm going to just worry about me. Well, that's fine. You'll be starved out by white capital. Like it or not, you can't beat this. You can't beat this systematic oppression as an individual. You're going to have to fight it as a group. I ain't saying you got to like every ADOS person you come in contact with. You know enough to understand that you need that ADOS person. And that ADOS person, they need you. No matter what their wealth positioning is. They need to understand, I need my group. When I walk in the room, I need my group in that room with me. It's so, yeah. I'm looking at something else in the chat. It says, if what they are planning to do with the money, then why are we worrying about how other people spend their money? Yeah, so that's basically what I'm saying. It's just, we must understand, when you earn your money, it's yours. What ADOS is saying is, we must be focused on our group to build us up. It's really what you're spending it on, it's how that money will stay within the group. So I think that's the main thing we want to stress to people. It's dollars within our group, and having policies that do the same thing. And I think that's the ultimate thing that we can is do that. So if we do this, we'll move forward. We'll get a lot done. Without it, we continue in the same critical moment where we're gonna get ahead of this game. And in order to get ahead, we're gonna definitely have to do more to get there. So I think that's the biggest thing, and I think we will and can do it. As long as we keep working on it. I guess this is our first run of our show. We would definitely be doing another show. I appreciate everybody that joined in. We are the call line still open. Like I said before, if anybody wants to find out how they can join up Twin City with Triangle ADOS, Twin City ADOS, any of these chapters, put it in the chat. Somebody will reach out to you. We definitely need more boots on the ground. So if we get more boots on the ground, we can get more done. It's definitely the time to do it. I mean, like I've said before, even if we get it wrong, we must do it and think for ourselves how to get it right. I think a lot of times we don't believe enough in ourselves to make the things happen that needs to happen. This is the moment that we have to. We must give it to our kids. We must stress to our kids that and it starts with the kids. I think that the worst thing we can do is continue to tell our kids the same thing. To tell our kids the same thing that a lot of parents been telling them. You just gonna have to outwork white people and leave it at that. Cause we basically kids right then that just accept the fact that you're gonna be unjustly treated. And when you teach somebody to accept unjustly treated, how you expect them to be able to fight? No, you a man just like he a man. You are old and you deserve what you are owed, and I'm gonna educate you how to fight these people politically. And that's what we really need to be telling our kids. To understand that the fight must be a fight where you don't ever let them make you accept the fact that you're gonna be defeated. I kind of see it that way. I don't want to be. I never, if I'm breathing, if once I stop breathing, my son and daughters will still be breathing. So I want them to know they gonna fight too, and they're gonna fight just as well as ADOS is gonna fight. So, and I tell my kids who they are. They ADOS. You American descendants of slavery. Never let nobody shame you from that. You are such a unique group. You know, you have done so much for the world. Why would I limit them to thinking that somebody else have when they done it? So, that's one of the things I want to bring to people attention. That that's how critical it is for us to start getting in front of these things. Yeah. Something from the chat. I was reading in the chat. Tell them we can buy Jordans, homes, invest in education, and invest in that infrastructure. That's exactly right. That to get this thing going, we definitely gonna need redistribution of wealth, and that redistribution of wealth comes through a reparation policy, black agenda, and that's why everything we do got to be focused around it. It's no other way. We must be focused around it. And if we do it, if we can understand that, I connect dots on all these things that we dealing with, that we see, we'll accomplish this goal. And if we accomplish the goal, we get the things we need. No longer watch one person slide through a crack. To me, that's been when we said, and then you get these people that slide through the crack, and when they slide through the crack, they tell the story as if they did it all on their own. Instead of telling the story that, hey, I know he did this for me, and it opened the door here for me. We don't do that. What we come back and do and say, we did it all ourselves. I did it all myself. No help. Nobody didn't do nothing for me. I've watched, Tone had an episode with Byron Allen on it, and even Byron Allen talked, and he's a billionaire. He owns the Weather Channel, and he said himself, black people are locked out of wealth in this country. Now understand, when you're talking to a man that got that kind of money, and he comes out and admit that he had to get $300 million from a white man to allow him to purchase that Weather Channel. One thing I respect about man, he told the truth. If we can get more of our black people with money to come out and do that, man, we would be way better off. We would be farther in this country. We probably already have policies been passed in this country that would help us. So, because being spoke. Right now, we got everybody fronting and a lot of lies are being told. So, we getting very little truth spoke to power. So, when that's happening, it's gonna be hard to get people to see and understand, because understand celebrity. So when we idolize celebrities, of course, they get the attention that a lot of us ain't gonna get. When that happens, that's why your voice gets silenced, and right, because we got another thing in our mental condition that we think that the people with the money, when people got money, some of them having money makes them very intelligent because they have money. It's not true. And that's part of our culture. We think people with money are the ones that is the smartest out of the group. We never realized that they are the tokens. A lot of times they the token. White capitals, they use them as they see fit. Where can I use you at to convince the black that you are, that people are achieving? Where can I use you at? Where can I put your face at? And I even have family members to tell me pretty much, hey, you know you got to be in a bad situation where you so strapped trying to survive that your dignity don't even matter no more. Yet you tell yourself you ain't broke. To me, that's the most thing. Be so you don't have dignity no more. So, Triangle, ADOS, Wednesday, and Rocky Mount, what we trying to do is say, hey, don't let nobody take your dignity. Let nobody take your pride. Fight for the debt is over. Our mark, we definitely will be back. I'll be posting when I'll be doing my next video. Hopefully, the next video, this is my first one. So we trying to work out the kinks. I wanna read another chat we got. It says we have to separate fact from fiction. Also, we need to discuss influence having social connections and the implement bias in hiring decisions. So that is definitely that there brings me to something that I almost forgot about. I had my nephew. I had trying to get him at a job. Of course, he got dreads. And after the interview, the guy that interviewed him called me back, said, a good interview, spoke real highly of my nephew. Yeah, I contacted him a couple weeks later, and I said, well, a week later, and I said, when you gonna know when he get the job? And he pretty much texted me back and said, now understand the job title it was an entry level job title, meaning no experience needed. He tell me he found somebody with more experience than my nephew. Now, I into him. First of all, it's an entry level position. And I know for a fact, because of what the entry level paid, nobody with experience would have took it. That's why they wanted younger people to take. They had already said for these positions, because if anybody had experience due to what the position was, the person wouldn't stay, and they more than likely wouldn't even take the job. So they try to. They always try to hide what they saying. What they saying in in their tweets. Um, they do it because they can say, "Oh, he had more experience." That what most of the time happens for us is we accept that, hey, he must have more experience. But we talking about entry level jobs. You look, the job title is you don't need none. So it ain't, experience is not needed, especially with the work I do. If a guy got experience, he ain't taking that kind of pay cut. Okay, so I'm gonna end the this gonna be the end of the call. I will be posting again when I be going. I appreciate everybody joining. Remember, subscribe, like, and the video freezing. I'm sorry, it's something I probably need to work out. But we'll get better as it go. We ain't gonna give up. All right, everybody have a good night.